Hey YouTube, welcome back. This video was requested to talk about what advantages does GraphQL offer over traditional REST APIs. Um, GraphQL offers several advantages over the traditional REST API, making it an appealing choice for many developers and organizations. So let's sorry, I'm still ill. Let's talk about let's highlight these differences. So first, I want to talk about the efficient data retrieval. So let's start first. I want to talk about REST. Let's make this for REST, and let's make the other one. I guess no. Let's make the other one for GraphQL. Okay, that's great. So let's talk about the efficient data retrieval. So in in REST, in REST, it's often returns a fixed data structure. Clients may receive more data than needed for overfetching, or might need to make additional requests for extra data underfetching. So we might have overfetching and we might have underfetching with REST. Typically requires multiple endpoints for different resources, which can result in more network requests. On the other hand, sorry guys. On the other hand, GraphQL clients can request exactly what they need, nothing more or nothing less. This avoids overfetching or underfetching. The other thing, it reduces the numbers of network requests. Instead of multiple endpoints for different data, GraphQL uses a single endpoint and that's it. Other thing it's important to talk about, it is API versioning. So in GraphQL, generally versioning is not needed. New fields and types can be added to the GraphQL schema, and unused fields can be deleted or deprecated without impacting existing queries. It also evolves naturally without the need for version numbers. This is the thing about versioning in GraphQL. On the other hand, API and the rest, it's often require versioning, so V1, V2, things like that, to handle changes in API responses and structures. New API versions can lead to maintenance challenges and complicate the API landscape, for example. Let's I'm terribly ill. Oh, let's talk about the data aggregation from multiple resources. So in GraphQL, easily aggregated data from multiple resources in a single query. The server can resolve data from databases, microservices, and external APIs seamlessly to the client. The rest, on the other hand, oh no, yeah. The rest, on the other hand, let me delete all of that. Yeah. The rest, on the other hand, the aggregation data from various resources typically requires either multiple API calls or complex server-side logic. Let's talk about the query complexity and flexibility. Oh no. What's going on? Yeah, that's great. So GraphQL clients have control over the query and the tailor requests according to their needs. Supports advanced queries including nested queries and filtering. On the other hand, REST it's limited by predefined endpoints. Flexibility depends on how the API endpoints are structured. Supporting complex queries might require creating additional specific endpoints. Let's talk about the type safety. The type safety introspecting. Let's start with GraphQL first. So in GraphQL strongly typed, the schema defines the data structure, types, and relations, enhancing API robustness. Also offers introspection. It offers introspection capabilities, allowing clients to discover the schema programmatically. On the other hand, let's talk about REST. On the other hand, type safety depends on the implementation and is often less strict. Typically lacks built-in introspection features, relying on external documentation. Let's talk about error handling. Okay, let's start with GraphQL as always. So, an error handling returns both data and errors in the same response. This can make error handling more nuanced and tougher. It's error handling in GraphQL is not as easy as REST. Errors are more detailed also. This is a thing that we can say. Errors are more detailed, showing exactly which part of the query failed. But we return both data and errors, and this could make it also it could be more tough, but also it has more context, so it's more contextual. You know, this is a good thing about GraphQL. But the error sometimes you got 200. But this is from a real world, and I guess in terms of the interview system, in terms of the interview question, because actually this one is a famous interview question. Oh shit, I'm really ill. In terms of the interview question, you'd say that the error GraphQL returns both data and errors in the same response, and this make errors handling more nuanced and contextual. Okay, like it has more contexts. You could say it has more context, because contextual it might not be understandable. Because you also want to make sure that not all the people that you talk with have their English language as a first language. So you want to make sure that your vocabularies are in the B1 area. I want to remove it. Hide. Yeah, I don't like. Okay, I had the full bar. Okay, this is not good. Yeah. In the error handling in the REST, we use the HTTP status code to indicate successes or failure, while straightforward. It can be less contextual or less granular in identifying specific issues within a request. But that being said, you can fix this from the server. So basically, the backend developers can make sure that you got a well-described error messages. But you should say that, because yeah, it doesn't require that much. But like from all the REST APIs that I have seen from good backend developers in my experience, no, and it's we get a lot of well described error messages in REST API. Let's talk about caching, which will be the last thing that we talk about. So GraphQL caching needs to be handled at more granular level, typically by the client or via more complex server-side mechanism. Because lack of built-in HTTP caching, as most queries are post requests. Post queries are post requests. This is important to say why it lacks a cache. Um, on the other hand, and this is one of the things that REST shine in, benefits from the straightforward HTTP caching mechanism. GET request with HTTP status codes and headers facilitate effective caching. So, conclusion: while GraphQL offers enhanced efficiency, flexibility, and power in querying capabilities, it also brings its own set of challenges, such as complexity in caching and query optimization. REST remains a robust and straightforward approach for many use cases, especially when simplicity and conventional HTTP caching are prioritized. The choice between GraphQL and REST depends on the specific requirements and the constraints of the project. I would say both choices are good. I worked both with GraphQL, I worked with REST API, and both will work well. I might prefer GraphQL more because GraphQL offer some have some flexibility and gives you a lot of power, but in the same thing it has a lot of challenges, but it's really worth in giving a shot. So yeah, that's it for this video, and I hope you like my content. If you like my content, subscribe and hit the notification bell so never miss a video, and see you in future problem.